أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك علما نافعا ورزقا طيبا وعملا متقبلا. اللهم صل وسلم على محمد. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Ramadan Mubarak. Thank you all for coming. Today we're continuing our discussion. I believe it's the 17th word, but I can be wrong. Anyways, last time we spoke about the trees and the dancing of the trees, and how the author observed the trees as a way of he observed how the trees and everything around it is interacting with it in a way that makes it seem like they're in harmony, they're in worship. So today we're going to continue talking about the trees a bit, and then we're going to talk about how every part of ourselves can perceive or can receive this kind of happening in creation. So let's see. It says, from it, the trees, a meaning such as this comes to mind. They recall both the weeping caused by the pain of the fading of metaphorical loves and a profoundly sorrowful moaning. So from the observation he's making, something comes to his mind. And he's saying it looks like they recall both the weeping caused by the pain of the fading of metaphorical loves. And I'm glad metaphorical loves is underlined because I'd like to understand or remember what it could mean. And what does it mean for us practically, I guess, in our lives?
Temporary life, temporary love, metaphorical love, I understand, temporary one, because as the leaves of the tree under the breeze or wind makes noise and it passes as if they are making complaints that, oh, everything is passing. This is in the mind of the observer. The author is writing here what he got out of this experience. It reminded this scenario reminded the author that this world is transient, passing. As the wind goes, they make noise as if they are crying, that they are really declaring everything is transient, everything is transient. And I love the beauty of the trees and everything created around me, but they are just transient in and of themselves. That is what mind perceives.
Yes, thank you very much. All right. They make heard the melancholy songs of all lovers parted from their parted from their beloveds, like Sultan Mahmud. They seem to have a duty of making the dead hear the pre-eternal songs and sorrowful voices, which no longer hear worldly voices and words. I find the last two sentences are very interesting. The extent the observer went to see meaning even in this. I'm sure he's in a place where he's not seeing anyone dead, but the fact that he went to that far, that was very interesting to see in observation. And I was curious to understand what the word pre-eternal means. I know it comes up a lot in this writing, but I tend to forget what it means.
There's no beginning.
Okay.
Now, pre-eternal and post-eternal complementary each other. In fact, if something is eternal, it should have no beginning. And if anything doesn't have a beginning, should have no end. That is what pre-eternal songs. It means declaring the absolute being, the qualities of the absolute being. Then even the dead hears this. It means if your heart is not sensitive at all, still you can understand that this word, worldly voices, words cannot stay here in this world. They are transient. By their being transient, they declare the eternity of their source of existence because they keep declaring their transience, but their existence continues. Who keeps them in existence? That is what everybody should understand, everybody should question and understand. Who is sustaining? They themselves are transient, but somebody or something else is keeping them alive and in existence. Who is that? Everybody should think about it and turn his face to him, not to transient things.
Thank you. Okay, now we're gonna read how the author sort of identifies how every part of us can receive or understand this. And it's very interesting, super interesting. And I was really paying attention to the words he uses for specific, I'll call them human qualities. So it's very interesting. Let's see what he says. The spirit understands from this that beings respond with glorification to the manifestation of the glorious Maker's names. They perform a graceful chant. Here I like how he uses the spirit understands, and I thank you for underlining this word as well, the word respond. It reminds me of the idea of prayer and how prayer is a lot more like a response to what I'm observing or what I'm seeing in the world. And it's a bit new to me to see this connection between the spirit and responding. Like I can I can say to myself, oh, I prayed today, but to identify it as the spirit and to identify it as a response, that's pretty new to me, and I feel like it gives it a different meaning.
Exactly. It is interesting. That's why I underlined the word respond, because spirit always requires full satisfaction. Everything must be perfect. Everything must be eternal. That is what everybody looks for. We try to satisfy these needs by obtaining the things of this world, but we all know that at the end, they will all go away and separated from us. We will be separated from them. But what we are experiencing in this world, a kind of response to the need of our spirit by with the creatures, the beings, by declaring through their temporary existence, the source of their existence has to be the eternal one. So by this declaration, they respond to the needs of the spirit. How do they do that? Through their declarations that we are not the ones who are going to satisfy your need, or human spirit, but our source of existence will do it. That is a kind of it was interesting you understood this and interpreted as a responding one's prayer. Yes, we in our existence, the reality of our human side always prays for satisfaction. And the response comes from the declaration of the creatures around us. They declare that only their source of existence will be responding to their need, to the needs of the spirit. So this gives a comfort to human spirit, says, look, I should not deviate my expectations, my quality, by attributing it to this world, to the things, but their creator. I have to expect that this need, the need of the spirit, full satisfaction, can only be satisfied by what they declare. So we have to have a real, realistic experience with the word in order to understand what our reality is. The author is very interestingly, not very common way of understanding the relationship between what our spirit needs and what can respond it. Usually the religious conversion or conversation says, Allah will satisfy you. God will satisfy you. Ultimately, it is true, but we said, people say, where is God or how? I'm not satisfied. So they need evidence so that it will make sense to them. No, the author has a completely different approach to the subject. It's very interesting. It's not a Sufi approach. It is not the classical scholarship approach. It is completely something new to me. Why? Look, when you look at the universe and understand that they are declaring something, it means read and listen to what the universe is exclaiming through their reality of existence. The very reality of existence says, I am transient, I am dependent, I cannot respond to your expectations, oh human spirit. But in my transience, this is the crux of the message of 17th word that we are reading, that we have to find the cure within the illness. That is an interesting understanding of and utilizing the universe. Where is the illness? I need, my spirit needs satisfaction, and there is no satisfaction. But author says, look at the universe, listen to it, watch out for what they do, what they declare. Through their transience, they declare the absoluteness, infiniteness, permanence of their creator. They are dependent in their existence. They cannot do anything other than how they are created. But the way they come into existence really shows that only the creator of this universe, under the witnessing of the creatures, can respond to the need of the needs, plural, of your human spirit. Just watch the world with clear, unbiased mind. You can get the message through the creation from its creator. It is a very interesting way of presenting belief matters or human satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you. It gets even more interesting. It says, now he talks about the heart, and he says, the heart reads the mystery of divine unity. I like how he uses, how the word reads here is being used. The heart reads the mystery of divine unity from these trees, each like an embodied sign, from the elevated word order of this miraculousness. That is, there is so wonderful an order, art and wisdom in the manner of their creation. And that if all the causes in existence had the power to act and choose, and they gathered together, they could not imitate them. When I read this line, the very last part, I remembered how some verses in the Quran just reflect that. I don't remember them, but the one that came to my mind at the time was the one along the lines of, it's a verse that says something like, and this is a Quran, and even if they try to imitate it, they will not be able to. And it's interesting that he's associating this conclusion to the heart. It's interesting that he's using the word reads, or at least associating reads with the heart. Yeah, that's it for me. I see there's a verse here. Let me read it. O humanity, a lesson is set forth, so listen to it carefully. Those idols you invoke besides God can never create so much as a fly, even if they all were to come together for that. And if a fly were to snatch anything away from them, they cannot even retrieve it from the fly. How powerless are those who invoke and those invoked. It's very reflective of the last sentence as well. Does anybody want to add anything here?
Again, no one is saying. So it is amazing how the Quran gives a very simple example. Very simple, realistic, as we are experiencing here, example. No, all the things, even whole universe may get together. Well, let's imagine this. Although they are all bound to the order, they cannot move away from the way they are created. But let's say they have free will and they are thinking, making a fly. They cannot do that. Even so, if a fly takes a blood, it means especially mosquitoes, sucks some sort of, a very small amount of blood, you cannot take it back. This example shows, look, I am needy. That is extremely important. If someone does not acknowledge its neediness, his or her neediness, you cannot help this guy at all. The Quran is very interesting. Apart from this word, there are other words that the Quran keeps telling that we know what you hide, what you declare. But one verse in section Surah, where was it? In Naml. In Naml, I don't know, in the second page or somewhere there in Naml. And towards the beginning, I don't know the verse number, I cannot memorize it. So it says, لا جرم أن الله يعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون إنه لا يحب المستكبرين. It is so amazing the way the Quran, simple way of explaining the reality, but we have to think. But it is no way that God shouldn't know what you are hiding, what you are declaring. But amazingly, very interestingly, it continues, definitely God, he doesn't like arrogant people. What does it mean? Look, you say, oh, religion is something like this. Belief is just mythology. And we have to be realistic. Here is the word. Try to benefit from the word as much as possible. That's what they are saying. The word is happening by itself, as it is now. There is no other factors or agents are functioning in the world. We don't see them. The world is always like this, has always been like this, and continues to be like this as well. And the Quran says, okay, I heard what you said, what you claim, but I know what you are hiding behind it. God is speaking. What is that? Arrogance. So amazing. Arrogance, which is in Arabic, kibir, la yuhibbul mustakbirin. I don't need a creator. I'm not going to submit myself to a super being above me. I want to be alone. As a result of this, they don't want to give any chance, even chance, possibility that the universe can exist by itself or not. How one thing can exist by itself, act by itself, they don't want to say it. Not because it doesn't make sense, not because it is mysterious and cannot be understood, but it is just because of my preconditioned mind that I am not going to submit that I am a created being. I need to be created. That is the source of the disease. We have to be careful. If I don't see my reality, if I don't question who I am, my belief will have no base. Why? I will just assume the cultural claims, nothing more. I have to go back and see my own being, my physical being, bodily existence, and my human side, all these qualities, impossible to accept that it developed by themselves, because my human qualities have nothing to do with the material substance. They are completely non-material reality to me. I am experiencing it. I am experiencing it. So, excuse me. So I have to know, I have to understand that, first of all, I have to admit that I need to be created. And then, only then, you can understand the whole universe is declaring, explaining to you what your source of existence is. So, how powerless are those who invoke and those invoked? It means I need satisfaction. I cannot provide it by myself, but I am attempting this world to get something, to obtain something in order to satisfy me. They cannot do anything. They are subject to the order. They cannot choose any option. As the Quran, the verse, section Hajj 22, verse 73 here on the screen says, I am hopeless, universe is hopeless. They are transient, they are dying, they are going, they cannot have any choice. They cannot listen to me. The Quran continuously says, do they hear you? Do they hear you? Do they respond to your prayers? It means whatever you expect them to satisfy. Transient. You have it, on the spot it is gone. That is what we have to, how we utilize the universe, and also try to understand the Quran according to our experience of the universe. They have to work together. They have to support each other together. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Then he talks about the soul, or egoistic desires. The soul, on seeing them, sees the whole sees the whole earth as revolving in a clamorous or passionate tumult or violence of separation, and seeks enduring pleasure. It receives the meaning, you will find it in abandoning worship of this world. You will find it in abandoning worship of this world. Not sure what it refers to here.
The pleasure.
Oh, eternal.
Pleasure. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Awesome. Thank you. Anyone have any questions here or like to add something? Okay. The mind discovers from the chanting animals and trees and the vociferous or loud outcrying, plants and air, a most meaningful order of creation, embroidery of wisdom, and treasury of secrets. Okay, and finally, no, sorry, not finally. And the desirous soul receives such pleasure from the murmuring air and whispering leaves that it forgets all metaphorical pleasures. And through abandoning these, which endow it with life, wants to die in the pleasure of reality. Okay. The imagination sees that appointed angels have entered these trees like bodies, from whose branches hung many flutes. It is as though an eternal monarch has clothed the angels in the trees for a splendid parade, accompanied with the sounds of 1,000 flutes. Thus the trees show themselves to be not lifeless, unconscious bodies, but highly conscious and meaningful. I found that this last sentence to be very meaningful. I think to arrive to this conclusion, I would have to go through so many stages, and I like how the author almost sort of illustrated how I would have to be in touch with the spirit and the heart and the soul and what I desire, and to have the courage to say, okay, well, I can't find what I want in the material stuff. So then my imagination can actually go a step further with the help of the heart and the mind and the spirit, and start to feel that the trees are not just body or just material.
Everybody says trees are alive, but not unconscious bodies. They are not unconscious bodies. Consciousness, but highly conscious and meaningful. How do we understand this? I think the underlined part of the sentence says, now, the creator, their creator, has clothed the angels in the trees for a splendid parade, accompanied with the sounds of 1,000 flutes. Angels in the trees, that clothed the angels. Angelic side of the creation, it means meaningful side of the creation. Meaningful side of the creation communicates with me. That's what we should really experience in this world. Try to experience it. every creature in its existence is meaningful, reflecting the qualities of its maker. Very simple. All the qualities that we observe on any being, any creature, for example, the simple example, the very practical, a cat in the house communicates with the people. What they are doing, what they behave, how they behave, all are meaningful. So what we do we communicate with them. We love them and they love us, and when they are hungry, they come and try to express their need of food to us by just coming around our feet and communicating. How matter is communicating with me. We have to think. So the meaningful, conscious meaning in their existence is really communicating with us. So when we really look at them, as if they are clothed angels, the material appearance is their cloth, and meaningful side is their angelic side. It means they are communicating consciously with us. So in the explanation of the Quran says angels know what they are doing. It means they are conscious beings. And angelic side of the creation is also communicating with me as if every part of every being is a meaningful flute, voicing, announcing their quality, the qualities in them, and pointing to the source of the qualities in them. It is not us. Material side of any being cannot be the source of their existence, their meaning. For example, look at the book. It cannot be the source of existence of the message, the information, knowledge we get from it. But somebody has inscribed in it. If you like, we can use the same analogy here. Each letter is a cloth. Each word is a cloth. If a sentence is another cloth, over the meaning, the message, the book is transferring to me. So while I'm looking at the book, I'm reading, I am expected to read and get the message from it, rather than seeing that, I can see some figures here. No, get the meaning. The universe, every being in the universe is much more meaningful than the static message, the static information inscribed in the book, because every being is so dynamic, as if they are transferring their message, their angelic side, continuously speaking to us, declaring something, warning us, be careful. Don't get lost in my cloth. Get the spiritual side in my existence so that you can communicate with me through your consciousness. You see that as if I am transferring to you a conscious information, and you are receiving it, getting the message. How this integration emerging in the existence of the universe and human reality is really responding to each other and mixing up. We cannot separate our human side from the meaningful side of the universe. But I mean, it is not an accusation. Those people who claim or who declare that their existence is nothing but body, which is the result of random things happened by itself, and the universe is the same. So I am going to satisfy myself, my bodily needs, through exploiting the universe. They cannot hear this unless they have to openly declare what they are hiding in their attitude, behind their attitude, prejudice, that they are really basing their existence on this prejudice. They cannot see, they cannot hear. That's what Quran says. You cannot make the deaf hear the message. Why? They close their own ear. They rejected their own reality. That's why you cannot really help them. But you have to say it. Sometimes or some days they may intend to read you. That's your duty. But as long as they decide to remain in their obstinacy, as I'm not going to accept the Creator or anything about me, and I'm not going to submit my existence to a conscious being, it means ear is there or eye is there, but if I close my eyes, I cannot see. Not because my nature cannot see. No, I decided to close it. That is why Quran says, as long as they close their eyes, our principle of creation is that they will not be able to see it. That is why the Quran says we put a stamp on their heart and their eyes, on their ears, because they have chosen this way. If they decide to look at it and see that, who am I, and question it, then, of course, the principle of creation, everything will look at it or will be shown to him automatically. But this is the condition. As long as you close your eyes, you will never, ever be able to see it. That is the sealing. Although the sealing in the Quran doesn't mean that it is forever decided. No, this is conditional. If you decide to deny, you are not going to accept the reality. That's what we have to really see the reality of creation and understand the Quran according to what we experience in the reality of the creation. Cannot be separated. None of them. All should work together. Again, thank you for being patient to listen to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The flutes are pure and powerful, as though issuing from a heavenly exalted orchestra. The mind does not hear from them the sorrowful complaints of separation. That foremost Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi and all lovers hear, but dominical praise and laudation and grateful thanks offered to the most merciful one, the ever-living and the self-subsistent. Since the trees have all become bodies, their leaves have become tongues.
Excuse me, this is an interesting comparison here in the previous paragraph.
Here.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, the mind doesn't hear from them the sorrowful complaints of separation. Now, how the Sufi tradition, this Mevlana Rumi, Jalaluddin Rumi, is mentioned here. That's why we say it represents the Sufi tradition. It's a very great poet and deep thinking man. But the author says, if you look at from one aspect, you will see that the universe always complaining about separation. It's a fine point. Separation from their source of existence. That is why they are in the position as they are. They are crying of separation. But that is what the ney, I don't know whether you are familiar with the flute, that the Mevlevi or Rumi followers play. And the Rumi says, why it makes this noise? Because it is crying out that it has been separated from his original source, which means where he was taken away or cut away and used as a flute. The separation, the meaning is separation. But this author says, no, there is something misunderstood in this point. They are not crying out the separation. They are crying out their reality that they are transient. But existence should be permanent. And in this universe, there is no permanent existence, anything permanent in this world. This declaration of transience of the nature of creation is what we hear from the trees when they breathe, the wind comes, then the trees make this noise. It means this speech. We are transient. We are always appearing, disappearing, appearing, disappearing. So don't trust your hope in us, but go back to our origin of existence, who created us. So we are declaring the reality of this existence, but through the reality of this existence as to be transient, we have to understand that although their reality, their nature is transient, but they keep existing, continuously changing and existing. Who is keeping their existence? Who is changing them? Because we don't want to be changed. We don't want to get old, human beings, for example. We don't want to die. That is this feelings given to us. We don't want to die. We want complete satisfaction. But everything is transient. In this transient day, the universe says, I cannot satisfy your need. Your human needs can only be satisfied by whom? Who keeps our existence and keeps changing, by changing, demonstrating that he is always ever existent. That is what we are going to study: self-subsistent, ever living, and self-subsistent. It means whose existence is from its own self. It means it didn't gain its existence. The creator of the universe cannot be the one who gained its existence from somebody else or something else. It must be just the opposite of this creation. I mean, not created. This creation needs to be created. The one who gave existence to this world cannot be created. So, what we have to do, we have to understand that the universe is not crying separation from its source of existence. Universe is declaring to human mind, human consciousness, human spirit, they are transient. They cannot satisfy me because I want permanent. They are not permanent. But the one who creates them is the permanent. This kind of interpreting and understanding, benefiting from the universe is very interesting and also appropriate to the Quranic way of understanding that the universe is a sign to its creator. So read it as a sign pointing to its creator. It goes along with this Quranic approach, and also reality of the universe is really demonstrating it to us. Whereas seeing the universe as a separation, or the universe is declaring or suffering from separation, in Islam, there is, in Quranic teaching, there is no suffering. Everything is a means of education. So we are benefiting from it. Fundamentally and radically, the method that we are reading here contradicts the Sufi method. Although it looks like Sufi, if someone is not careful, but very Quranic, very realistic. Thank you again. I speak a lot as usual. I'm sorry. You don't speak, I have to speak. You have to excuse me, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Since the trees have all become bodies, their leaves have become tongues. At the touching of the breeze, each recites over and over again, "It is he, it is he." With the benedications of their lives, they proclaim their Maker to be ever living and self-subsistent. So sorry. Self-subsistent. With the tongue of this position, they continuously declare, "O God," and seek the necessities of their lives from Him, from the treasury of mercy, and through the tongue of their manifesting life from top to bottom, they recite His name of O Living One. O ever-living and self-subsistent One, through the names of ever-living and self-subsistent, endue the heart of this wretched one with life, and bestow sound direction on his confused mind. Amen. This is the end of this section. Any questions here or any reflections here?
Again, sorry.
No, you're okay. Good.
I think we should understand how we come, how we conclude that the creator must be self-subsistent. It in the Quranic language, qayyum. Existence is from itself, original to itself. Nothing obtained from others. It should be undefinable within the conditions of this universe. Why? I cannot define really. Although I experience that, I show that, I see that the computers, for example, any machine, anything actually, human-made things are made by a man, but I cannot imagine which kind of man he is. Although through my experience, I know it is made by man. But let's be realistic. Let's assume that I didn't know how the computer came into existence, and I look at the computer. It seems to be it is working by itself. That is how it is. But when I look at it with no prejudice, no pre-accepted arrogance, declared arrogance from my side, I understand that the parts of this computer cannot be acting by themselves. They are employed. They are made by someone. Let's assume that it is a human made. It is not a human made. We don't know. By looking at the computer itself, because we are in the universe, we cannot go and look somewhere something else. So we are a part of the computer if you take this analogy. So as a part of the conscious part of the computer, I said, look, I am, and other parts next to me, around me, cannot do what they are doing. So I cannot do. I cannot be doing what I have, all those qualities, because I'm given in this way. I'm made in this way. I have to admit it. And then it is very easy, but since none of the parts of this computer can be its maker, even all together, get together, cannot make themselves, arrange themselves as they are, and then make them function as they are. That is so obvious to me. So what should I do? I have to conclude that the computer needs to be made by something not of the nature of computer. I cannot describe him, the maker of the computer, but don't forget, I am a part of the computer. I am a part of the universe. This analogy is computer represents universe. We know that. I am a part of the computer. I cannot describe my maker, but I can know that it is not like the computer at all. It must be the maker of the computer, which has completely different level of existence. I don't know. I cannot imagine. That is why Quran uses this expression, Subhanallah, which means he is beyond imagination. He is not what you think of him within the conditions of this universe. You cannot imagine. That means computer needs to be made, or the maker cannot be in the same form, needy to be made. It is the maker by just opposite. It is the maker. The maker must be the one who made it. So I cannot say that it is like this part of the computer. Not at all. Every part of the computer needs to be made. And whole body of the computer needs a maker, which is in the language of the Quran, Rabbul Alameen, the creator, owner, sustainer of the whole computer, whole universe. That is why we have to say, I cannot tell him, I cannot describe him as like one of the parts of the universe. I am in need of being given existence, life. So I need to be given existence, life. The one who gave it must be the source of life. That's why he gave me life. He created me with life. He wants me living one. And I am completely dependent. Everything is completely dependent. They cannot choose any way they like. They have to exist as they are created. So they are totally dependent, and their creator, by definition, should not be dependent. That means self-subsistent. It means exists not depending on others by itself. It is a pure existence. It is a pure life. I don't know. I cannot describe it, but I can only say it is not like that I can imagine to be at all. That is what the very important, how to understand the Quranic terminology, as the Quran says, I am the most knowledgeable one. I am the all-seeing, all-hearing. I am the all-merciful, all. It means not like the one you can liken to anything of this universe. That is what we have to do. La ilaha illa hu. Nothing of this universe can be the creator, but the one who must have created the universe is the creator. And never imagine God at all. Who is he? The creator, the maker. Nothing of this universe. I cannot imagine. I cannot speculate, but I can see his qualities manifested in the computer. I see that this man who made this computer is knowledgeable, knows me, knows human needs. He is choosing to decide which part will go where, how it is organized, how it is arranged, how it is measured, so that it will have a beautiful appearance and attract human feelings. He must know human feelings. I'm describing must. He must be. That is called belief in ghaib. We should understand that belief is not knowledge. Belief is in ghaib. Ghaib means nothing to do with this universe, but the source of the universe, source of existence of the universe. That is very comforting for my heart, for my mind. I have no problem about it. I say, yeah, I believe in the reality, the fact that I have a creator who cannot be described within the conditions of this universe. The best way that I could find a word to express this, borrowing from the mathematical terminology, absolute infinity. It means absolute creator. We cannot describe. No one can describe it. No one can even put a formula to it. Absolute infinity in mathematics, that we cannot say anything about it. There must be such a thing. That's it. Thank you very much for, I am spoiled today, but with the excitement of this beautiful, simple, but not easy to grasp the message text, this text. So it is exciting for me, and I shared my excitement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. آخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.